Today we are going to move on to the third Dhamma concept which we are going to study in this Nibbedika Pariyaya Sutta. For those people, are there newcomers today who are joining for the first time? We chose this sutta, Nibbedika Pariyaya Sutta, because of a reason. The reason is, this is the sutta where we see the Buddha has analyzed, not even analyzed, he penetrated 6 Dhamma concepts. Major Dhamma concept, not like minor, tiny little Dhamma concepts. Such as, we started with karma, sensual, obsessive sensual desires. And then last week we studied about feelings. And this week we are going to study about perceptions. And then we are yet to cover 3 more. Asava, kamma and dukkha. Asava means outflows. That is a good name to say, call akusala actually, rather than using them as defilements. And then kamma, kamma means volitional activities, and then dukkha, dukkha means pain. So before we get started, may I ask you a question about last Monday, feelings. We discussed feelings from many angles. One very important angle that we discussed feeling was that although you become enlightened one day, your feelings are still happening to you. So feelings are not going to stop. They are happening all the time. But what is going to stop when you become enlightened? You don't crave for the feelings. So then you are not creating craving and then clinging. Now we are before this enlightenment now, right? So then every time we go through a feeling, we have some sort of ideas about this feeling. Good feeling, bad feeling, mixed feelings, right? So we are naturally creating some sort of likes, dislikes, and even mixed thoughts about it. Creating a like, dislike, or a mixed idea is not the problem. The problem is that we later on cling to that like, cling to that dislike, cling to that mixed feeling, right? Normally Arahants, Pacceka Buddhas, Samma Sambuddhas also have a like, dislike for them. But they don't cling to that. How do we know that they have likes and dislikes? There are a number of places we see that Arahants and Buddhas appreciate the beauty, the feeling of the beauty, weather, nature. They are happy about it. And also there are a number of places where these enlightened beings express their pain. Now when the Buddha asked Arahant Mahakassapa, Arahant Mahamoggallana, Kacchite Kassapa Kamaniya, Kacchite Moggallana Kamaniya, Arahant Moggallana, Arahant Kassapa, how are you? Can you tolerate your pain? Then both of them told the Buddha, Name Bhante Kamaniyang Nayapaniya, Balhame Dukkha Vedana. Still dukkha is there. Dukkha is still taking them till they pass away, right? So that means feelings are very common to all of us, but they do not create a clinging towards that. So this is one very important thing that we studied. So then what are we supposed to do? Especially what are you supposed to do as a layperson? You go through feelings. You can enjoy your feelings. You are not an enlightened person, right? You have to always keep in mind. You might be one day, you may be, but as a layperson who is running a household, family, you might be single, you might be married, whatever the status you are having. You are a layperson. So as a layperson, you are supposed to be careful when you enjoy your feelings without creating a clinging towards those feelings. You can enjoy the feelings, right? So that's what you have to learn from here. Otherwise, you might think, if Arahants could not do that, why can't I? From tonight, I'm going to stop enjoying everything, right? A very hardcore approach to things, right? So that's something we learn about feelings. All right, so then we are moving on to sanya, perceptions. How perception constructs reality. Of course, if an elk is to see a mirage, which is a constructed image from the very hot weather, but as the elk is going to go near the area, elk cannot find out water in that place. So Buddha always contrasted sanya to a mirage. There is a sutta called Pena Sutta. This is another sutta. So Buddha has related all these 5 aggregates to examples. So sanya is a mirage. That means we see it real, but when we go near, it might not be real, right? So, but still, perception affects us because we cannot live without perceptions, right? Memories, recognitions, right? Now think about it. Every Monday around 8 o'clock, you have a recognition, you have a memory. I will be at Buddhist Mahavihara, right? Even you are not coming here for a holiday or something, sutta discussion, right? That is coming to you. What is it? Because you've been coming here, right? Almost all Mondays. So then it has gone to your perceptions, right? But unfortunate thing is that most of our recognitions, perceptions are related to akusala, right? We don't remember when someone complimented us, but we really remember about when someone criticized, insulted us, right? That is our nature. You don't have to blame yourself. That is our nature. That is what we have to train. When we train us, we don't get stuck in those natural areas. So, sanya is a mirage in the suttas. Okay, let us read the sections with regard to perception in the sutta. So, there are 6 things we have to learn about these concepts. First, karma, we learn 6 aspects about karma. With regard to feelings, we learn about 6 aspects. And today, sanya, perceptions, we are going to learn sanya through 6 aspects. So these are the 6 aspects. Let us read together. Sanya bhikkhave veditabba sanyanang nidana sambhavu veditabbu sanyanang vemattata veditabba sanyanang vipako veditabbu sanya nirodho veditabbu sanya nirodha gamini patipada veditabati itiko panetang buttang kincetang paticca buttang. Okay, number 1 is we need to know what is perception, right? That is number 1, right? Then the origin of perception. We need to know how sanya originates. We need to know the diversity. Diversity means vemattata, right? Vemattata. Nidana sambhava means origin. And the 4th, we need to know what will happen when I have sanya in my life, right? And the 5th one is I need to know how to end my perceptions. Is it possible to end perceptions? It is the same like feelings, right? You can't stop them. But when you attain Nibbana, you will have less perceptions. When you pass away with enlightenment, there is no more perceptions. Okay? And the last one is 6th one. we need to know how to end perception. So there are 6 things to be known. So nidana sanya bhikkhave veditabba. What is sanya? What is the origin of sanya? Vemattata means what are the varieties, diversity of sanya? And vipako means what's the result of sanya? What will happen when I have sanya? And sanya nirodho means there is an ending to sanya. I can stop it, right? And sanya nirodhagamini patipada vetabba, how to end it? What is the way to end it? So these 6 have to be known. Only when you know how to deal with sanya in these 6 ways, then you penetrate sanya, right? So are the other 5 feelings, karma, and the rest of the 3. So that means when you want to think about whether I have thoroughly known about my perception, you have to penetrate sanya. You have to know sanya through these 6 ways. Okay, the next one. Now we need to know that there are 6 types of perceptions. Right? Normally, I can perceive now, there is perception. But what do you know about number of perception? There are 6 types of perceptions that we are having in our daily life. Right? Let us read together. Cha ima bhikkhave sanya, rupa sanya, saddha sanya, gandha sanya, rasa sanya, pottabba sanya, dhamma sanya. Now that means that this is the problem. When we have a perception, have we ever recognized that this is rupa sanya, this is saddha sanya, this is gandha sanya, this is rasa sanya, this is pottabba sanya, dhamma sanya. Now those people who don't know that much of Pali might be surprised. What are these Pali words? Rupa sanya means sometimes perceptions come from forms, right? Perceptions don't come in one format. They come from different fields. Sometimes from form, sometimes from sounds, saddha sanya, right? Sometimes from smell, sometimes from taste, rasa sanya, sometimes from touch, pottabba, touch, sometimes from thoughts, mental objects. Now we have to understand all these 6 with different examples. So just to make it simplified, I'm going to take some examples. First one, perception that can take a form, right? A shadow looks like a person and fear arises. You see a shadow and you immediately become scared about this shadow. You are thinking, this is a ghost, because you read about ghost from your ancestors, books, your culture. Now, that perception of imagination is materializing because you see some kind of similar picture through that shadow. That means in order for us not to be scared, we must have good perceptions, right? If you know your perceptions very well, you are not going to be scared. Because you know this is not that person, this is a shadow. Why many people are scared in their life? Because they don't know their perception. Right? But what would you do? When you are scared, you come and look for the blessings, right? Next time again you see the shadow, Bhante, I see that ghost again, Well, bless me, Now we have to address the both sides. First we address by chanting, then you come to learn Dhamma. Then we have to say, you don't waste your time by asking this all the time. You need to know that this is a shadow, not a real ghost. Ghosts don't come in a shadow. They come in real form. Non-humans don't play tricks with us. They are very real honest beings. Right? You know, non-humans cannot lie. Right? They cannot lie. Only humans can lie. And animals who were being domesticated by humans also can lie. Not animals lie. Right? So that's the thing. So now this is a Rupa Sanya. Actually, this is a Rupa Sanya that went wrong. Some Rupa Sanyas are good. Now here, when I see all of you, I can have a memory about you because you've been coming in past many weeks. So it is a real Sanya. You exist now here. But if I look for a shadow of you here and thinking about, is that the person that I know? I might get wrong about it. So that's why we need, if we really try to understand perception very well, more than 75% of our fears, insecurities will be cut down in the Dhamma way. Otherwise we go after physical things. Somebody exists in my house, right? So that is how transformation happens when you learn Dhamma and then you practice it. So that is one example for Rupa Sanya, perception of form. Now the second one, perception of sounds. This is also a misperception, not a good one. Perception, but it has been misperceived. You think someone called your name, but no one did. Have you gone through this moment? Sometimes. Why is it? You try to relate every sound to someone is to calling your name, but nobody calls your name. Right? You have to sit down again, right? You think, someone called my name. It's a misperception. So it means when you are creating so many imaginations about your name, even there is a small breeze, small wind, you think, that was my name. Somebody said it incognito, in my absence, or in that person's absence. So this is a misperception. You can say it is a Saddha Sanya, we call perception of sound, which is not a true one. But when your mother calls you, when one of the loved ones call you, you know, in the following instances, even when they are going to open their mouth, halfway of that calling, you know that you are being called by that person because you are so much familiar with that sound, right? So, Saddha Sanya, but this is a misperceived Saddha Sanya. Third one, perception of smell. A smell reminds you of childhood or a person, right? Maybe you go to a certain place, maybe a place where you smell a certain smell, maybe a perfume, maybe another smell. It immediately brings you to your past, right? It can be a real perception. Perhaps you could be misperceived, but there is a memory, perception. And the fourth one, perception of taste. Food tastes amazing when hungry, but dull when full. Is it? You eat your favorite food couple times, couple plates. Now you can't eat anymore. Then what would be your feeling at that point? Do you have the same taste about it? Right? Now, you will not carry the same thought about it. But after some time, when you are again hungry, again you look for it. Right? Then that will become your heaven at that point. Right? So that is a perception because you know it, you can see it, right? You can taste it. Fifth one, perception of tangible. Right? Now you have a memory about your touch. You been touched or you got a touch. A light touch may feel irritating or pleasant depending on the mood. Right? I think it is happening to all of us, right? You are going on a public train, someone step onto you. Right? Someone step on your foot. You know, it is a mistake. But you think that person did it by purpose, right? And you are going to look at that person. What's wrong with you, You did that to me. But it was a mistake. Because you think if anybody does that, it is intentional. But sometimes we have to leave a space. Anything can happen. So we are going to keep our patience. Right? That's very important. But anyway, a light touch may feel irritating or maybe pleasant, depending on who you are with. Last one, perception of thoughts. That means now you remember last year, this period of time, I was very happy. But this year, I am even happier than last year. Right? I'm 2 times happier than last year. Something is happening to you. But that happy feeling is something that motivates you to become happier. Maybe you are comparing to a time in your life that you were really struggling with regard to everything in your life. And then you are now happier. You don't waste time in giving thoughts about it. But anyway, those past thoughts come to you as a perception. Does it happen to us? Always, always. But when you only know your perceptions, you can minimize them. You can stop them, or you can transform them, or you can create the right attitude towards past thoughts. Otherwise, every time you are going through a past thought, you become very unhappy about it. Right? So, example, you imagine a future problem and feel real anxiety. Why is it? In the past, you know that you could handle that problem, right? But now you think you don't have enough ability, maybe affordability, ability, money-wise, strength-wise, you can handle it. So you know this will become a problem to you. Think about old age, right? Our aging thing. So when you go back, right, how you look at your life and how you could manage things in your life as an independent person. But then as time goes by, you are turning into different decades. You're happily going into those decades, not unhappily. But still, you know, I may go through some challenges. So then, you are comparing your time to a past decade, past time, and then you are going to imagine a future situation, and you are a little bit anxious about how I would go through that time in the future. Why is it happening? Because we lived in the past. Because we had the thought like that in the past. So anyways, now you understand that perceptions are not coming from one source. That means we have, as we live, as we continue to live, what is happening to us? We have outsourced our perceptions on 6 areas. Right? So then, this is how perceptions come to us. Next time, don't think that perception is perception. No, perception has 6 areas. Perception arises from 6 areas. In order for me to understand them, I have to individually go and see those perceptions differently, separate. Then only I can do the necessary right attitude towards those 6 and lower my dukkha and increase this volatile happiness in my life, sustainable happiness. All right, the origin of perception. Now we are looking at what is the origin of perception. What causes perception to arise? Let us read this part. Katamocha bhikkhave sannyanang nidana sambhavu Passu bhikkhave sannyanang nidana sambhavu. Again, passa. Passa means contact. Now, feeling also arises from contact. Now, perception also arises from contact. This contact is very automatic. It is not something we do. How does contact arise? You see, sense base, object, corresponding consciousness, and then passa. What is sense base? Our eyes going to see an object. Now my eyes, I see all of you, and you see something over here. Then once your eyes see a sight, what will happen? Then there arises a corresponding sensory consciousness. That is called ear consciousness, right? No eye consciousness. That is called eye consciousness. So when you see something through your eyes, and sight has to come, and because of those two, there arises a corresponding related consciousness with regard to that sense experience. So whenever your ears hear a sound, there is no eye consciousness. There is ear consciousness only. So that is how this is happening. We don't do it. It's natural. Now I see you, eyes, sights, and then it's already eye consciousness. And I talk now, you have ears, my sound, then you have a sound. Is it sound consciousness? No. Is it called ear consciousness? So this way all sensual faculties are facing their corresponding objects and then corresponding sensory consciousness. So that is how passa arises. So now you understand, you cannot stop passa easily, because passa is happening all the time, right? That is a very subtle point. But when you train yourself, you can even see your passa. That's why when you train yourself with regard to Dhamma, even you can monitor, you can supervise your sensory experience. Now a lot of people talk about akusala experience, but before it becomes akusala, you can monitor it, you can supervise it. You can catch it earlier, before it becomes proliferated, before it becomes unwholesome. Now the problem is we are even trying to minimize our akusala experience. But if you learn Dhamma and you train yourself, learn and train yourself, you can minimize it. I mean, you can even see what is happening in that experience of going to contact. That is a very good level of your Dhamma journey, right? Then if it is happening to you, how would your life be? Earlier you learn that you became angry, and then that you don't have to hate somebody at that point. But then at this point, you know, I am on the way to become angry now, right? You catch it at that point. So you can do a lot of things. You can save yourself. Not that after you are impacted by, things. That's why learning contact is very important. But anyway, this contact is the reason of perception. Because of the contact, all these rupa sanya, perception of form, saddha sanya, perception of sounds, all these are arising because of contact. Right? Then what will happen to someone who went into coma, who is sleeping for a couple months now, not yet dead? How is that person's sanya working? Very interesting, right? Huh? What would you think? How do we know? Are we doctors, right? But just to think about, someone went into a brain death, perhaps. We never know whether we can see that person coming back or maybe going further down over there. So, before that person went into coma, that person must go through lots of things in his or her life. by looking at rupas, by hearing sounds, by smelling things, by tasting food, by touching things, and by having thoughts. So new objects are not coming to that person because all gone, right? Most of the part of the body gone. But according to Buddhism, what we know is that that person's previous thoughts, right, that were constructed are now going to replay in that person's own way. So that's why even someone went into coma, you can't say that that person's cognition is deprived of karmas. The person is still going through cognition in his or her own capacity. But the thing is, we don't see that full-fledged nature of, like us, talking to someone, hearing, listen. That's why sometimes doctors say, the person who is in coma can hear you sometimes. You go and talk to that person, right? They cannot see you, but go talk a little bit louder. Maybe they can hear, right? So that's why sannyas are happening to all of us, right? Until we die. So then what is the reason, what is the cause of sanya? Contact. Then diversity. Then there are different types of perceptions. Let's see. Let's read together. Katamacha bhikkhave sannyanang vemattata anya bhikkhave sanya rupesu anya sanya saddesu anya sanya gandesu anya sanya rasesu anya sanya pottabbesu anya sanya dhammesu ayang bucchati bhikkhave sannyanang vemata. I think we covered a little bit of examples, but we have to go again to some examples. Now, this part says that when we go through sanya, we go through very unique types of sanya at different times, right? That's why we are clinging to them, right? Now think about an ice cream experience, depending on your favorite ice cream, right? When you go with other people to eat ice cream, they have their own favorite ice cream. That happened many years ago. They are looking for that ice cream now, right? So they are highly bothered by that perception of taste, which happened long time ago, right? What about any other entertainment experience? It is the same. What about food experience, right? When you go with a group of people, if it is not very casual, sometimes it will be very difficult for you to have an idea together to eat together, right? Because different people like different food, right? Actually, their bodies don't know what it is, right? When you eat after this part, body doesn't know what it is. But their perception is filtering it so high. That's why people, when it comes to preferences, choices, people take a very rigorous stand on that thing, right? So that's why these perceptions are very unique and different. There is one perception regarding forms. I think we discussed them here. You can see here. Again, the same thing. Perception of forms, perception of sounds, perception of smells, perception of taste, perception of touch or tangibles, perception of mental objects, thoughts. Okay, but we will pick up some examples. See, the Buddha says, anya, anya, anya. That's a very interesting thing to learn here. See? Anya, 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 anya. Why? What is anya? It's different. It's not same. The rupa sanya is very different from saddha sanya. You need to know that carefully. Don't think that rupa sanya and saddha sanya equal. When you hear a sound and when you see a sight, don't try to mix them up. They are different, right? You need to understand them differently. So that's why the Buddha used anya, anya. Anya means different, right? Another, different. Okay. Let us see some example. You see a face and you immediately recognize that this is your friend, right? Immediately you recognize. Why? It is very unique. And you hear a ringtone of your phone, and you know, yeah, you changed your ringtone last week, right? My phone is ringing. But the problem is when the other person also changed to the same ringtone, then you think, whose phone is ringing now, right? But anyway, there's a basic recognition that that's my phone. But actually some people are even forgetful. They know whose phone is ringing. It's ringing, they don't know, I don't know. That's your phone, you know. Then they know. Yeah. They are even very forgetful about what's happening to their phone. They're too distracted about what's happening. Their mind goes here, there, you know, in today's world. And you smell garbage, bad smell. Which garbage is good smell, right? But it's garbage, bad smell. And you eat chili, it's spicy. But someone say, it's not spicy for me. I can take more spicy stuff, you know. But still, you recognize it is spicy. You touch ice, you know, it's cold. You imagine the future, then immediately something affects you by saying, something will happen to me, right? So these are very different, unique perceptions. But what do you think? Do you sometimes get wrong in recognizing these things too? You could be, right? Just like the elk or any other animal or a deer is to see the mirage, right? Our perception can anytime go wrong. All right, so then there are different perceptions. So next time when someone says, tell me about perception, our perception is perception sanya. No, perception comes from 6 areas. There are many perceptions, they are 6-fold. Oh, really? We never thought about perception from 6 areas. Then now you know this addition. The result of perception. Let us read together. Katamocha bhikkhave sanyānaṁ vipāko vohārang chepakkhaṁ bhikkhave sanyang vadāmi yatā yatā sanjānāti tatā tatā voharati evaṁ sannī ahosinti ayang vucchati bhikkhave sanyānaṁ vipāko. There's something interesting happening now. What is it? In whatever the way you perceive, in that way you talk. This is why it says, yata yatanang sanjanat. In whatever the way you perceive, I perceive, in that way I talk, because I think it is true. Right? That is what is perceptible to me, then I talk. It can be good, it can be bad, it can be real, it can be unreal. Right? You know, when people get into mental health problems, they can do anything, right? They can come up with any thought, right? So they can decide anything. You see how perceptions get changed because of mental health issues. At the same time, when you perceive certain things, when you recognize certain things, you are going to talk in the same way, right? So that's why when someone is talking something not good, you don't have to be angry. Why? As a Buddhist who has studied sanya in a penetrative perspective, you know this person is talking like that because that is how he or she perceived this particular incident. Why should I get angry? What do you normally understand that? How do you normally understand it? How come you talk like that? You never looked at how I treated you. You take it very seriously because you don't look at that person, what is happening behind that person's talk from sanya. That's why the Buddha says, yatā yatā sanjānāt. In whatever the way an individual perceives, tatā tatā voharati. In that particular perceptible way, that person speaks, talks, engages in conversation, issues statements, right? So that means this is also something that we can look at us thinking, when you talk about somebody, if you are someone who is always looking at the negative side of somebody, always trying to look at something not nice about someone, that means your perceptions are going in the same way. You have to check your perceptions. Then you can, how to check perceptions? We go back to the 6 type of perception. Rupa sanya, saddha sanya. You're going to check, is my perception perceived or misperceived? Is my rupa sanya perceived or misperceived? Is my saddha sanya perceived or misperceived? Is my perception on smell perceived or misperceived? I have to go back and do a check like that. Then again, I think about what I'm going to talk. So now you know the result is very complicating. It's very dangerous. It's very detrimental because you think you talk something that comes to your speech. Actually, this is something good about your speech. Normally in the suttas, we know we speak because of 2 things. They are called vitakka vichara, right? The Buddha had given them in many suttas. But how do vitakka vichara arise? Vitakka vichara means a thought. Thoughts don't arise without perception. Perception is the primary level of a thought. Thought is an active level of, active engaged level of the perception is thought. So that means perception is precursory to the, it is a precursor to sanya. If sanya is not good, speech is bad. Rest of the things also definitely going to be bad. Let us fix our perception. So that's why it said result is very bad if you don't look at how your perception happens, right? And then evang sanni ahosi ayang uchati bhikkhave sanyana. Let's read this part. The Buddha says that perception results in conceptual expression, speech. In whatever the way you perceive, in that same way you speak. Right? That's why some people say, okay, let me share my thoughts according to how I understand. Right? The way how I understand this issue, I can say something has happened here. That's a good way to say. I mean, they are very expressive about it. But some people, they don't say that way. What they say is, this is very bad. Is it your way, somebody's way? No, it's very bad. Which way is that? Because they can't even understand that their perception made them to make that statement. So then, now you know, the way you perceive is the way you speak. So, if you think your speech is always looked down upon, frowned upon by others, that means there's something wrong, maybe. And if you know that your speech is not good, you can check your perceptions. Normally in the suttas, what we know is, when I lie, when I talk behind the back of somebody, when I use harsh words to hurt someone, if I do, when I gossip or idle chat, you have to immediately go to the opposite of these 4. You should be truthful. You should always try to unite people. Don't try to do things behind the curtain. And you have to use very calm, kind, nice words. And you have to use meaningful, beneficial speech. But how do I do them? Without knowing my perceptions. That's why some people say Dhamma is harder to practice. It's not harder to practice. You don't know how to practice it according to suttas. That's why for people who are doing akusala, what we have to say is that rather than immediately going back to the opposite of akusala, check your perceptions. Then you will see the problem and you can minimize it easily. Right? Let's say kamesu miccachara viramani, someone who is into extramarital affairs. You always hear, I should not do that, but I'm doing it. Why is it? Every time I hear 100 talks, all these Bhantes and monks, speakers are talking. Kamesu miccachara viramani. But as a layperson, it's happening from my... Why is it happening? My distractions? My habits? My addictions? Or do I justify what I'm doing? No. Something has crept into my perceptions. My rupa, saddha, what do you call rupa, then saddha, gandha, rasa, pottappa, dhamma are affected by misperceptions of the reality. That's why I cannot understand these precepts in my life. I know that this is bad, but still it's happening in my life. Right? I know it, but I cannot see it. Right? So perception matters to us. Result is very dangerous. That's why we have to look at how perceptions are arising in our own way. And then, now we know this is something that we have to end, just like how the Buddha told us. Katamocha bhikkhave, let's read together. Katamocha bhikkhave sanya nirodho, passa nirodho bhikkhave sanya nirodho. How to end passa? That's even harder, right? Because it's a normal thing. If we want to end passa, we have to stop becoming. We have to stop the rebirth. Otherwise, passa also coming after us. We have to become an enlightened person. Even though you are an enlightened person, still until you die, passa chases you, right? But then you are safe because you are not going to cling on to that. But the way how to end perception is to stop passa. So how to stop passa? Passa means contact. The natural contact, automatic contact that's happening to us. We are not doing it, it's happening to us. How to end it? Let us read this part. Ayameva ariyo attangiko maggo sanya nirodhagamini patipada seyatidang sammaditthi samma sankappo samma vacha samma kammantu samma ajivo samma vayamo samma sati samma samadhi. What is this? Noble Eightfold Path. This is the only way. Now, at the end of all these Dhamma concepts, Buddha teaches us the only way to end perception is Noble Eightfold Path. Now in this sutta, as we learn, we will learn, the last Dhamma concept is dukkha. Now this is what we are learning from Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta and all the other suttas, that Buddha's main Dhamma concept is how to end dukkha. But now when we learn this sutta, we know it's not even the dukkha. It's also ending karma. It's also ending feeling. It's also ending perception. It's also ending, next one, asava. It's also ending karma. It's also ending dukkha. Not even ending dukkha. That means Noble Eightfold Path helps us to end not even dukkha, but also other five. Now, what is the difference between someone who only learns Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta and someone who learns the both Sutta, Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta and Nibbedika Pariyaya Sutta? The person who learns Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta only knows one aspect of ending akusala concepts, dukkha. And someone who learns this Nibbedika Pariyaya Sutta knows not even dukkha has to be ended, but also karma, feelings, perceptions, outflows, asavas, karma, and then dukkha itself. So you have a very penetrative knowing about life, right? All right, so now it's clear. Then you might think that how does Noble Eightfold Path help you to minimize en sanya? Now when you practice Noble Eightfold Path, right view, when you have the right view, you see the whole world. I mean internal world, outside world, through right view. Wrong view will not come to you. So then what will happen to you, basically speaking? Your sanyas will be perceived, not will be misperceived. Now, we are misperceiving sanya because we don't see the world as it is. So, right view does that. When we have the right view, it helps us to see the world as it is. When we don't have the right view, we see the world not as it is. We see the world as we are. We see the world as we are. That is the problem. Then we create lots of issues. So then, when you start from that point, you have the right view, you see the world, you see everything, all phenomena as they are. then whatever the intentions that are arising in you will also become wholesome. Then there is a very limited chance of sanya is going to be misperceived, because you know sanyas as they are. Right? This way you can relate the Noble Eightfold Path and how it helps you to end dukkha. Sanya, finally, dukkha. All right, let's go to the notes now, depending on the time. Here, you know, yatocha ko bhikkhave arya savako evang sanyang pajanati. So this is the way a noble disciple has to know the sanya. Because of that, nibbedikang brahmacharyang pajanati sanya nirodhan. That helps that person to understand the holy life. Right? That's the end. All right, further notes. I want you to look at this Pali stanza. This is coming from Pena Sutta, Sangyutta Nikaya 22.95. What is Pena? Pena means form. Right? The Buddha teaches us, Pena pindupamang rupang vedana bubbulupama marichikupama sanya sankhara kadalupama mayupama cha vijnana. Every aggregate that we have, 5 aggregate, has a simile, right? The Buddha says, form is like a lump of foam. Now, how do we know that? Now you are far away from a streamlet, maybe a waterfall. You are very far away. You are not going nearby the waterfall. You see that there are lots of sides about lump of foam. You think they are real. Only when you go near the waterfall, you see, they are foam. It's a phenomenon, right? So Buddha teaches us we have to see the side just like a lump of foam, right? And feeling, our last Monday's one, is like a bubble. It is a very temporary thing. And today's one, perception, like a mirage. And sankhara, mental formations, are like a banana trunk. What is that simile? The Buddha teaches us that someone wants to find out a good trunk. Then he's finding a lot of trees. Finally, he couldn't find any other tree. He found a banana tree. So he's trying to cut it. He's trying to cut it into slices. And then he wants to find the trunk of the banana tree. But then he never thought that he would end up by thinking that banana tree's trunk is hollow. This trunk, although it's very big, but trunk is very hollow. So our karma is like that. Don't hold to our karma, the Buddha teaches us. Consciousness is like an illusion. It's like a magic, you know. Have you ever been cheated by magicians? You know, sometimes they do magics, right? And you are easily tricked by them. So consciousness is like an activity done by a magician, an illusion. So I want you to understand perception is like a mirage. It's not real. As you see here, form looks like something substantial from afar, but up close is just clusters of bubbles that quickly vanish. The physical body seems solid and real, but it's constantly changing, fragile, so on. So please read all that, you will see. Let us go to Sanya part. A mirage tricks you into seeing water where there is none. Perception labels and interprets things, but it often misleads. We see permanence, beauty, or self where there is not any. Okay, so I am also going to pick up a couple of suttas, other suttas, to see the importance of sanya. There are so many suttas, but I only picked up certain important suttas about perception. So one of the suttas I pick up here is that Mahavedalla Sutta, Majjhima Nikaya 43. Okay, this sutta has a conversation between Arahant Mahakottita and Arahant Sariputta. It's a conversation between those two Arahants. So, let me see here. Perception, sanya, friend. It is said, to what extent, friend, it is called perception. Then Arahant Sariputta asked from Arahant Mahakottita, what is this sanya? You see, sanjanati ko avso tasma sanyati bucchati. Kincha sanjanati. Neelakampi sanjanati. Neelakampi means blue color. Pitakampi, see, it perceives blue, and pita means yellow color. Then lohita kampi sanjanati. That means, right, in Pali, lohita means blood, color of the blood. And then odatampi sanjanati. It perceives wine. That means, if you can understand color combinations, colors separately, that is the easiest way to know that you have sanya. Right? But now there are so many color variations, right? They can say not blue, navy blue, dodger blue. What is this? I mean, you have to tell the particular one, right? And red color can go in many ways, maroon, burgundy, right? I mean, you can see that how the perception can go around, I mean, with this color experience, right? So it says, sanjanati ko avso tasma sanyati bucchati. Because it perceives and recognizes, friend, therefore it is called perception. So then, basically speaking, sanya means understanding a color separately. Actually, when you understand something separately, even going beyond color, that is the next level of the sanya. Your experiences, everything. But an easy way to understand perception is color experience, right? And then, second, why feeling, perception, and consciousness cannot be separated? This is also from the same sutta. Now, we normally think feeling, perception, consciousness are separately working. But it is said in this sutta, these three cannot be separated. That means they are simultaneous. Let us see that. Friend, feeling, vedana, perception, sanya, consciousness, vijnana, are these three states conjoined or separate? Now, we normally learn them as separate, right? Then Arahant Sariputta asked from Arahant Mahakottita. And is it possible, after separating them one by one, to explain their differences? Then Arahant Mahakottita answers, friend, feeling, perception, consciousness are conjoined, cannot be separated. Right? And it's not possible after separating them one by one to explain their difference. Now, this is how we need to understand. When you are going through a perception, can you separate the feeling part? Now think about, you saw a shadow, you thought it was a certain bad creature, now you have a feeling. Now, how to separate your feeling from that perception? And also, now, correspondingly, you have created a thought as well now. Perception, feeling, thought. How to separate? It's very difficult to separate these three separately. Right? For friend, what one feels, that one perceives. When you feel something, you perceive it. And when you perceive something, you cognize it. You can see it here. Yancha auso, tasma here. Yang sanjanati, tang vijanati. Right? So that means perception and feeling cannot be separated. And also, perception, feeling, and consciousness cannot be separated. Then why did the Buddha want to separate them? Because Buddha wants us to understand them separately. But when they work together. Right? It's like 5 aggregates. 5 aggregates are working together. You cannot separate them. Right? But the reason why the Buddha wanted to separate them was, only when you separate them, you can analyze them. You know what it is. Right? So what you are going to understand from that? In a certain experience that we are going through, it's very difficult to pinpoint that this is the perception level, this is the feeling level, this is the thought level. So they are so much combined together. But if we learn them separately, we know the nature of that particular mental state. Feeling means feeling, perception means recognition, thought is thought. But in actual experience, it's very difficult to separate them. So that was given in the Mahavedala Sutta as well. Sanya can recognize complex concepts. Now we are talking something bit lofty. We've been actually talking sanya in a way that sanya is not good, sanya can distort us. But now here, in a sutta called Girimananda Sutta, we understand if we create a better sanya, that can also help our sicknesses go away. You can even recover from your sicknesses. What is the sutta for that? Girimananda Sutta. For those who came here for the sutta study for many years, they know that we studied Girimananda Sutta, I think 2 years ago, almost. Yeah. We took almost 12 days for that, Girimananda Sutta. In the Girimananda Sutta, there was a monk called Girimananda. He was an unenlightened monk. He got sick. And then the Buddha was informed that Venerable Girimananda was sick. Then Venerable Ananda informed the Buddha about it. Venerable Ananda asked him to go and bless him. But the Buddha didn't have time to go there. So what he did was, he taught a sutta to Venerable Ananda, and you learn it, you go and teach him. That sutta is called Girimananda Sutta. This Girimananda Sutta, if you click on here, you can go to the sutta. Let's see. This Girimananda Sutta has 10 perceptions. What are they? See? 10 perceptions. The perception of impermanence. Now, earlier perception of sound forms are very basic, very sometimes akusala, sometimes kusala, but these are very, higher level of perception. If you can form them, you are very good. Your Dhamma practice also increase. But unfortunately, we are only juggling with those 6 perceptions on a daily basis. Because sometimes people don't know that there are better perceptions that they can make. So the perception of impermanence. When anything happens in your life, you see the fluid nature of that. This month, I'm not making lots of money, you are thinking. If you are doing a sales job or anything like that. But I will make better next month. Because money is a fluid thing. Right? I'm in between this global crisis. I cannot make a stable, income like that. Anything. And everything. Maybe I'm not going through a happy time. Maybe I'm going through a happy time. But I know my happy time can end any time. Even it ends, I know how to create my happiness again. Because I know that every mental state is a fluid state. They are not permanent states. But what if you think that you should be always complimented? You should be always benefited? You should always gain? Then, when that doesn't happen one day, you are very unhappy. Right? But you form this perception all the time. Impermanence is anicca, is my new sanya. I look at everything through anicca. How happy am I? And how much kusala I can make. Number 2, the perception of anatta, not self. Every time I'm not trying to build my atta nature, right? We always look at what I need, what I'm going to eat, right? Always I, from morning to sleep. When are we going to lower this idea? I mean, of course, we have to take care of us. But when are we going to slow down this I mentality? And at the same time, you are looking for, I want to also attain Sotapatti. Right? So, only when you lower this I mentality within you, not outside even, then only you will see you are creating these anatta perceptions. Third one, perception of unattractiveness. We always like to see the beauty of everything. But sometimes we don't see that beauty in the same way. So we should be able to see both beauty and the opposite of the beauty. Fourth, the perception of danger. This translation is not very inclusive. What danger is this? Drawback of the karmas. Danger means drawback. It is implied. And then the perception of abandoning. How to abandon akusala. The perception of dispassion. The perception of cessation. Right? So this way, finally, Anapana Sati. You see, mindfulness of breath is also a very high perception. Because it is a very free thing. I mean, if you can give some time when you spend your day, you watch your breath. Now you are eating, but after you finish eating, you watch what's happening to your breath. That is the highest sanya here, the 10th sanya, because this is a order here. You know, start from anicca, ends with breath. So now I want to show you here. When you can increase your sanya towards kusala side, you can get rid of those basic 6 sanya, create a lot of kusalas. I know that you may not be able to do all these 10. At least do 1 or 2. First one and the last one. At least try to see the world from that impermanent nature and watch your breath. You create more wholesome sanya. Right? Because we don't need to do everything, but we do something, at least 1 or 2. That will help us better create better sanya. Fourth one, sanya can be, I think we can end our sutta discussion before the Q&A with this. Sanya can be distorted in 3 ways. Now, when I say distorted, I use the word misperception. How is your sanya going to be misperceived or distorted? There's a sutta for that, which is called Vipallasa Sutta, Anguttara Nikaya 4.49. There are 3 types of distortions which the Buddha talks about. What is a distortion? Distortion means that you don't see that particular mental phenomenon as it is. But the Buddha says we don't see sanya as it is. We don't see thought as it is. We don't see the view as it is. These are our 3 fundamental distortions that we are going through in our daily life. So pay attention to these 3. I mean, every time you see what is wrong with me sometime, what is wrong with me is either perception or my thought or view. Actually, what's happening is that when your sanya is distorted, your thought is distorted. When your thought is distorted, your view is distorted. They are all conducive, all leading. Finally, your view is distorted and you become a very bad person. You become narcissist, you become very egoistic, you don't care about other people because your sanya was distorted earlier, now thought was distorted, now the whole view is distorted. And you are trying to make other people also into your same view after that. Let's see. Now, we are going to see sanya vipallasa, because we don't have time to discuss about chitta and ditthi today. These distortions cause beings to misinterpret reality. As I said, first your sanya will be distorted. How is your sanya distorted? It's because you don't understand those 6 forms of sanya. And then your thoughts are distorted. Because of that, your views are distorted. Now we are talking about how can your sanya be distorted. Your sanya will be distorted because of 4 things. Number 1, seeing the impermanent as permanent. Right? This is the first thing that causes us to distort our sanya. A very good example for that is, we think we have lots of time. Right? This is a perception that we are having every day. I can practice Dhamma by 2030, 2030, another 4 years. Right? But we never know whether we will live that long. Maybe we will live with some sicknesses by that time. Who knows what will happen to us? Hurry up. The Buddha said, Ma nivatta abhikkama, don't stop. Strive on with diligence. That was the last message he gave when he passed away. Right? The Buddha's last message was, what was the last message? Vaya dhamma sankhara appamadena sampade. All conditioned states are subject to changes. Therefore, strive on with diligence, appamada. So if you're lazy, you can't do anything. You are then following the normal people, normal crowd. Then you will become anusota. But you have to become patisota. Go upward. Don't go downward. Anusota means you join the normal crowd. But you go upstream. When you know this Dhamma, you go against, not you are making a conflict, but you go against this stream. Patisota. Sota means stream, pati, up. So then, one good example, we think we have lots of time. It's a misunderstanding. We don't have time. Actually, we have time. We have lots of other things. Right? You think you have lots of other things. That's why it's very important to understand that there is impermanence going on. Don't think it's permanent. You have to know it's impermanent. If not, you will be distorted. Second, seeing dukkha as happiness. Right? I think I don't have to explain that, in our life, we take dukkha as happiness. Actually, we have to be happy, but we also should see what is dukkha in that happiness. Otherwise, Buddha didn't ask us to be worried about dukkha. Third, seeing not self as self. This is happening to many. They always try to build up their I mentality. And last is seeing the unattractive as attractive. Asubha. Asubha has to be seen as asubha. We have to see the unpleasantness, unattractiveness as well. Right? So, the correct way is seeing the impermanent as impermanent, seeing dukkha as dukkha, seeing not self as not self, seeing the unattractive, asubha as asubha. This is how you are going to create better sanya, wholesome sanya, so that you can go to Girimananda Sutta's sanya. Practice them. All right, so this is what we are going to discuss today, but now we are taking time for a Q&A. Anybody who has any questions, please come up. There's a mic over here. You can ask any question about sanya for today.
Bhante, this is regarding the cessation of sanya. Does that mean that when you are enlightened, you don't have any more sanya?
No, as I said, enlightened beings still go through sanya and feelings, but they don't create clinging towards their sanya.
Sorry, they don't? What?
They don't create clinging. They don't cling to their sanya.
So what is this cessation of sanya? Because I understand the word cessation to mean no
complete
more.
Ending.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you become enlightened one day, right? What will happen is that you will stop creating a sanya that has clinging anymore. But still you have a normal sanya. What is going to be ended is the sanya that has clinging. Now we have sanya with clinging. That is what is cease here when you become an enlightened person.
So it's more a matter of not having distorted sanya.
Yes, distorted is another way to say that.
Yeah.
So when we say...
But we will still have sanya,
yes,
just as we will have feelings and consciousness, because the three...
Are you talking enlightened beings?
Yes.
Yes, enlightened beings.
I mean, the
they
final,
still have perception.
Yeah, the final goal of what we want is not that sanya will disappear or to get rid of it, but that we will not have a distorted perception of reality.
So when you become enlightened, then what will happen? Your sanya will not be distorted. But sanya still will be happening without distortions. But when you pass away as an enlightened person, that is when you enjoy the full happiness. Because that is the real cessation, true cessation from the feelings and perceptions. Diversity here in this sutta means that when the Buddha talks about karma, sensual pleasures, then feelings, perceptions, then asavas, outflows or defilements, then kamma, and then dukkha, Buddha wanted us to understand that don't understand these as stand-alone Dhamma concepts. Normally, sanya is one sanya. Feeling may be 1 or 2, 3. Dukkha may be 1 or 2. The Buddha wanted us to say that these are carrying varieties of aspects in the same genre. Now, dukkha is not only one dukkha. Dukkha has many aspects. Sanya is not only one sanya. There are 6 sanya. So we need to understand those genres, those types, varieties. If you only think there are no varieties, then you don't penetrate it. You cannot see that particular concept as a penetration. That's why it's called vemattata or diversity.
Bhante, I had a conversation yesterday about Dr. Joe Dispenza's study, where a certain kind of meditation led to resistance against COVID. And I saw maybe there was a parallel to the statement that the Grimananda Sutta, when you cultivate that meditation objects, can lead to alleviation of sickness. I don't know exactly what the parallel might be, but perhaps you could give some more insight as to how that meditation object can relieve sickness.
What meditation are you talking?
You said in the Grimananda Sutta.
Girimananda Sutta. Yeah,
yes.
Yeah.
You said that it can alleviate sickness.
Yes.
And I saw the parallel maybe with that study that I read yesterday. So I was wondering, in the context of the Sutta, yeah.
Okay, Girimananda Sutta says when your perceptions are distorted, you're getting sick. This is what's happening, because you think everything is permanent, then that will one day make you sick, right? So when you create the proper sanya, that mental energy can help you to recover. So what is, according to Venerable Girimananda, happening is that he could give his thoughts about these 10 perceptions more than normal perceptions that he was distorted before, so that he could recover. So the moral for us, normal people, is that we are getting sick for the most part because we are distorted in our perceptions. Now, even you catch a cold, maybe you are not careful about a certain perception about it. Because you think it is okay. I mean, you are very, perhaps you are not you may be immunocompromising about that. So that means when our attitudes are good, our health and hygiene also can be really helping us to come up with those holistic perceptions. So then what I see in the sutta is, because he was not an enlightened monk, He didn't also get enlightened after this. What only happened was that he recovered. He recovered simply, he changed his perceptions onto these 10 perceptions. He could start watching his breath, he could see the impermanence, he could see not self. But before he saw self, he saw permanence, he didn't want to watch his breath. So this might not be one way to cure all the sicknesses, don't get wrong. But majority of our depressions, stressed things, expectation issues, fears, anxieties can be cured if our perceptions are not distorted. So the 4 ways here that I shared with you, and then leading us to those 10 perceptions. That is the way. Yeah, wholesome perceptions, 10 perceptions. Yes, that's what that sutta says. Yes, I think it's a good way to recover from sicknesses and all that. All right, so I think you have a lot of work to do now, because when you hear perceptions, now you have to watch your perceptions, right? Earlier you thought, I only watch my thoughts, right? Now you have to watch your perceptions, because perceptions will become thoughts. Thoughts will become views. So that is the connection here, interconnectedness. So today we learn about perceptions, how the Buddha penetrated them in the Nibbedika Pariyaya Sutta. So then we are moving on to the next Dhamma concept, 4th analysis, penetrative analysis, next Monday at the same time. So now let us transfer the good karmas, which we have been making today by learning about sanya. So from today, when somebody asks you, tell me what is perception, don't only say perception only comes in 5 aggregates. You need to say no, perception has 6 aspects, and perception is having varieties. Each one is unique. We have to understand them separately. At the same time, we shouldn't make them distorted, and we need to cultivate 10 wholesome perceptions given by the Buddha in the Girimananda Sutta. So this thing has to come up and then to share. So then may all these good karmas, which we will be making today, by learning sanya in this full analysis, be transferred to all departed ones who passed away in the name of all of us. May our departed ones be well and happy, and may they attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Idang me nyati nang hotu sukita huntu nyatayu.